Boehner quits the clown car. Let's play hardball. Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews back in Washington. Let me start tonight with this. The difference between being a child and being a grown-up. That's a big difference. It's a difference in stage in life, but also of job description. I got it from Charles Schultz, that wonderful guy who created Peanuts. Here's the deal. If you're a kid, you get to sit in the back seat and fight. We've all heard it, and believe me, we've all done it. She's sitting on my side. She just touched me. He just touched me. I'm hungry. When are we getting there? I'm car sick. That's the kids' job. Just sit back there blaming and complaining. What's the grown-up's job? Well, first of all, to sit up front. Make the car payments, keep up on the registrations and driver's licenses, pay for the gas, pay for the insurance, and most important, know where the hell you're going and how to pay for it when you get there. Well, last week, the Speaker of the House, who spent the last months and years speaking for the kids in the back of the car, spoke like a grown-up and said, I'll drive the car, but I'm not going to drive a crazy car, damn it. I'm the Speaker of the House. I'm second in line to the American presidency, not the Mad Hatter of the Tea Party. That's what he said. Howard Fineman's editorial director of the Huffington Post Media Group, and he's chuckling already. I like that. And an MSNBC political analyst. And Joy Reid is also happy with my words. She's managing editor of The Degree, of course, and an MSNBC contributor. It does seem strange that Boehner, here's a reminder, by the way, of John Boehner, what he said last week and surprised us all, finally taking on the Tea Party and other those way outside groups that have consistently tried to thwart Boehner's leadership job itself. Let's watch.
Well, frankly, I think they're misleading their followers. I think they're pushing our members in places where they don't want to be. And frankly, I just think that they've lost all credibility. You know, well, they pushed us into this fight to defund Obamacare and to shut down the government. Most of you know, my members know, that wasn't exactly the strategy that I had in mind. But if you'll recall, the day before the government reopened, one of the people at one of these groups stood up and said, well, we never really thought it would work. Are you kidding me? No, there just comes to a point when some people step over the line. You know, when you criticize something and you have no idea what you're criticizing, it undermines your credibility.
Well, this weekend, the New York Times reported that the Speaker's criticisms of those groups in private to House Republicans was even stronger. According to people in the meeting, Speaker Boehner said about the groups, quote, they are not fighting for conservative principles. They are not fighting for conservative policy. They are fighting to expand their lists, raise more money, and grow their organizations, and they are using you to do it. It's ridiculous. Powerful stuff, Howard.
Yeah,
he's fighting them, and they're fighting back.
And having talked to Republicans who know him and talked to him, this was both a plan and an emotional response by the Speaker. He'd had it. He just had it, and the effect was galvanizing. It's almost as though when he said it, a spell was broken, and a lot of people who otherwise were hanging back took their lead from him. And said enough. Now, how long that will last, who knows? But for the time being, the fact that he was the adult in the front of the car and told the kids in the back to shut up had an effect, had a real galvanizing effect in Congress, as few things have done in the Republican leadership in recent months.
It's like Al Roker said in one of his books, don't make me stop the car, Joy. Don't make me stop the car. And I think we just saw the car stop there. And he said, these clowns have humiliated me, ridiculed, made me into one of them. No, I'm not going to be the Mad Hatter of their Tea Party anymore. And I'm wondering, is this the long-projected Republican civil war on the right, where what's left of the moderate Republican Party, what's left of it, outnumbered or not, takes on the crazies?
And Chris, what you call the moderate Republican Party is the conservative Republican Party. Look, I think, you know, and the reason I liked your analogies, I mean, I have 3 kids, so I've been on those car rides, and I know it can be tough to, with the chorus in the back, trying to tell you how to drive. The reality is that John Boehner has been trying in his own way to represent his members. And this is what his members have been up against. Groups that are funded by, you know, groups like Heritage Action, run by Jim DeMint, who wasn't exactly Mr. Popularity when he was in the Senate anyway. Groups like Grover Norquist Club for Growth. Groups that specialize in primarying Republicans, not going after Democrats, primarying their own team. And there are a lot of members who've been really governing in terror because they're afraid these groups are going to throw up a primary challenge. They've been forced to do things like go for this government shutdown, and they've really had the Senate, people like Ted Cruz, telling them what to do. And I think that there's been a lot of frustration boiling up in the caucus because when you hear the speaker voicing that kind of frustration, that's also coming up to him from other members who are saying, I got to go home and tell people at re-election time that I've done something, anything. Let's just not shut the government down.
Yeah, well, let's take a look. Will other Republican leaders ask the question, back Boehner up or go after him? So far, it doesn't seem so. Here's what Paul Ryan told a Wisconsin radio station. By the way, here he is talking back home, which is very important. Here he is not exactly backing up his leader.
I don't think it's that serious. I think John his emotions got ahead of him a little bit. I credit the Tea Party with helping us get our mojo back, getting fiscal conservatism back into the Republican Party.
Kiss, kiss. Anyway, that echoes what he said this weekend on Meet the Press. Let's watch him. Boy, this is playing to both sides. Here he is sort of being nice to his leader, but not really. Here's Paul Ryan skipping off the reservation here.
I think John just kind of got his Irish up. He was frustrated that these groups came out in opposition to our budget agreement before we reached a budget agreement. I was frustrated too. But I think these are very important elements of our conservative family. I would prefer to keep those conversations within the family.
I couldn't believe Patty Murray's face looking at the guy right there. God, she didn't like that character. Anyway, also today, Congressman Jeb Hensarling of Texas said he was sorry Boehner took the whole thing public. Look at how these guys are heading over to the Tea Party. Let's watch Hensarling.
We all need to be held accountable, but at the same time, you know, politically, you ought to be focused on the president and Harry Reid and those kind of folks. So, you know, I think most of us are pulling for the same thing. And, yeah, I thought the speaker's comments were a little bit unfortunate.
Howard, these guys are all jumping away from him. You know, they're more scared of the crazy right back home at the next Tea Party meeting. I always say the loudest guy in the back row is more their leader than Boehner is.
Well, I think the interesting thing is going to be to watch what Speaker Boehner does. I don't anticipate, from talking to people who know him well and who watch him a lot, that he is going to take the spell-breaking outburst of the other day and continue that as a strategy all the way along. In other words, I do not think this is the beginning of an all-out war between Speaker Boehner and people within his own caucus. I don't see that at all. I think this is where he said, you guys forced me into shutting the government, into the government shutdown threat. I didn't want to do it, and this is the make-up call for that. I'm not going for it this time around. I think he is still concerned enough that he's not going to be in open war with these people at all, and they know it, and they're trying to...
Why not? Why is he afraid of them? Because he obviously doesn't like them.
He doesn't like them, but he can't, if he's in open war with them, he can't do his job as Speaker at all. The only way he's seemed to have done his job is by basically doing their bidding for most of the last year.
How many House Republicans are there?
Well,
20?
Yeah, there's more than that. 232, I believe.
Okay, well, that's how many seats they won. But anyway, they've got some vacancies. And there's what? How many Tea Party people do you think?
Oh, I think functionally 70, maybe.
So it's that many?
78. Yeah, I think so.
But doesn't he outnumber them?
Yeah, but all the others are afraid. All the others are looking over their shoulder at the ones who are the activist Tea Party people themselves.
This is the tail wagging the dog. Joy, get in here, because this is just something to watch. Why did the 70 dominate the rest of the 230? What's this about? We've been watching this thing on this show for a couple of years now, watching the tail wag the dog, and that the dog's yelling back at the tail now, and now he's apparently, according to Howard, he knows this stuff well. He's more afraid of the tail. He respects the tail more than his own head. Well, because this is weird.
Well, for one thing, because you still have a couple of months yet when you don't have primary deadlines closing yet. I think if you were closer to the time when it was too late for people to get into a primary, people could be a little braver. But at this point, people could still get in. I mean, you're seeing people like Cornyn get a primary. You're seeing people like Mitch McConnell, the Senate minority leader, getting a primary. So people always have their eye on those deadlines. And the second thing is these groups are terrible at winning special elections because they put up such out there candidates, but they're pretty good at raising raising big, fast money to run primaries. And a lot of the people, even if you're not the 70, they're afraid of attracting attention. Because if you attract the attention of one of these outside groups, they can pour substantial money into a primary race against you, get some Tea Party leader to run against you, and they're all terrified of that. So even the ones who privately may feel like they hate this, they ought to go along.
Joy, is it your bet, then back to Howard, is it your bet that he's going to tuck it in again? And he's going to back and say, never mind, I didn't mean to say something so mean. I'm really afraid of you guys.
Yeah, I think after the budget fight, you're going to see the next big chance for him to stand up is going to be on immigration. I am not enthusiastic. I do not think he's going to stand up to them. He's not going to stand up to them. He's going to go back in his crouch.
They don't want that vote scheduled. He's not going to schedule. Not on path to citizenship.
Nope. This is my point, Chris. This is to some extent, it's a one-off. The other thing that you don't see is a truly organized effort by John Boehner, by Karl Rove, by the Chamber of Commerce, by all the, quote, establishment Republicans to counter the focus and rigorousness of the Tea Party people.
Exactly.
It's sort of like the NRA against
Let's not get so establishment here in our thinking, because the analysis, because I'm with you. But I also step back to my gut sense of politics, which is, what word do you want to yell really loud right now if you're a Republican? Yes or no?
No, I know.
I think they want to yell no.
Yeah,
and that's why I think when they go into a primary, they want to say no to any name-brand Republican, any establishment position. The easiest guttural gut way of saying something else. You know what I feel? No.
Well,
and Boehner's trying to say yes.
Yeah,
or if they want to run for president.
I was fascinated by the fact that he said there in that soundbite, I didn't want to shut the government down. I think he even said I didn't want to end Obamacare. That was the phraseology he used. The way forward to join the two parts of the Republican Party is to focus on Obamacare.
Yeah.
And that's, if they can do that, if they can get the Tea Party people and the establishment people to focus on the dismantling of Obamacare, that is the Republicans' no theme for 2014.
I don't think they've got a lever to do that, though.
No, then they're going to get sidetracked.
They're going to go fight. They're going to go fight over debt.
They're going to fight over immigration too. They're going to get sidetracked into an unattractive no, which is on immigration.
Right.
We got to go. This is going to be a hot fight this year. I still wait to see whether Boehner's going to be a stand-up guy or not. I'm sorry, that's not a sexist comment. Stand-up person. Is he going to stand up to these enemies of his that have made fools out of him? Will he be the Mad Hatter anymore? Anyway, we'll see. Howard Fineman, thank you, Joy Reid. See you soon. Coming up, March to Madness, the best evidence yet that Republicans are willing to take the American economy hostage again. Paul Ryan says the party will see what it can get by threatening default. And he's supposed to be the moderate among the red hots. Anyway, plus another sign that if you're a conservative, you can't be against the Affordable Health Care Act enough. A Republican state senator said the law has done more damage to the U.S. than the Nazis, the Soviets, and the terrorists combined. And that wasn't even the weirdest Republican remark about the law this week. And also, it sounded crazy at first, the idea that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie would purposely cause an epic traffic jam at George Washington Bridge to punish a mayor on the Jersey side who didn't support him. But as crazy as it sounds, is it true or not? And SNL declares open season on the selfie scene around the world. Of course, that one with David Cameron, the Prime Minister of Denmark, and President Obama. And this is Hardball, the place for politics.